Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Spiritual Scientist. I'm Victor. Thanks for checking me out. So I'm in a good mood today. Today's my day off, and I'm going to talk about some Mandela effects. Just to recap, we had experienced, if you watch my channel, the Mandela effect together, where Lady Gaga's outfit morphed. It might still be morphing at the present time, but her dove at the beginning was white with, her blouse was white, her dove was black, and the olive branch, the beak was facing down, and it switched, to be specific, to now it being up, and then it seemed to be a little more raised up. It was gold after that, and she was wearing a black dress on the bottom. Ended up being a red dress, and then she was wearing black blouse with a gold dove. Now the gold dove ended up the beak facing up. Subsequently after that, the dove is now huge, and it is the blouse went from black to blue. So it went from white to black to blue. Now you could argue and say it was dark blue, so it looked black, but it was black. So it's kind of funny when you look at some of the videos that came out and they're describing Lady Gaga wearing a black blouse, and then you're looking at the video and saying blue, and then some of the videos are talking about her wearing a blue blouse. So seems to be now it's all blue, all the pictures that you see. One of the reasons, just to be specific, is how I knew it was a Mandela effect is I share memes, and I shared a meme of her in white, and I looked back at the meme and it was black and with a gold bird instead of black, and I said that changed. Now I've noticed some memes that I've shared before have changed, but this one I thought was a big one, so I thought I'd share it. I tend to only talk about the big ones. There was one of the first memes I ever did, which was very strange, which was a funny meme, and it went viral because I make funny memes sometimes. And it went pretty viral, I would say. I think it got up to 60,000 shares when I was tracking it, which would mean more than 60,000 people looked at it. And when it went, it tilted sideways over time, and I was like, wow, that's weird. It was someone sitting on a bench, and over time, it couldn't be from somebody just taking a screenshot and sharing it, because it was still cropped the same. So that was a big Mandela effect for me. Well, anyway, I'm going to talk about some other ones. Just thought I'd recap the last one. And Moneybag73 came up and said, I appreciate all the comments, the good ones anyway. The bad ones, keep to yourself. It's okay. You don't have to vent on my channel. Go somewhere else and vent, in a nice way. And by the way, from the beginning, I should say, if you have mental illnesses, I appreciate all mental illnesses, and everybody's allowed to be in the world. Don't feel bad about yourself, but I don't recommend looking too far into the Mandela effect until you have a firm foundation on your mentality. So try not to go down too many rabbit holes until you are a healthy rabbit. So but I appreciate him saying that, I said something about maybe it's biblical, and then he came on my channel and said, the biblical reference from Noah is now changed. So it was two doves at the beginning that, Noah sent out. One of the things somebody else commented, I'm sorry, I forget your name, said it was now a raven. That freaked him out. So now it was a raven that was sent out. Now there was a dove, and the dove, instead of bringing back an olive branch, is bringing back an olive leaf. And certainly there's some nuances in there that should be drilled down more on. So this is the Spiritual Scientist channel, and you think I'd be more spiritual about it, but I'm leaving that alone for now, and I invite you to do your own biblical research about that. And I started looking into it last night, and biblical references about branches versus leaves, and you know, it might be a dead end about that. It's as if God stepped in, not to be, please don't take this wrong way, but God stepped up and did a Mandela effect to show you, hey, here's a sign. You know, so that seems to be something. You could look at it from another angle and saying that if we are in a simulation, then the people on the other side of the simulation saw my video and said, hey, let's type up something happening in the Bible. That would be good to do what that guy Victor said about a tie down. But it seems to be a tie down without any conspiracy around it, to saying the Bible might have changed. I don't know what the timeline was, changed at the same time the Lady Gaga effect. Maybe that was tied together, or it's a sign showing something big. That should be, again, drilled down more, and feel free to make a video about it and you know, talk about it, or I will do more research. There's the branch, as I am something of a biblical scholar. I read the Bible 4 times, and I attended a lot of college level classes about Bible study. So I tend to know more definitely than average about it. And as I recall, you know, Isaiah 11:9, 11:11, the branch of Jesse, there's a branch there as well. It'd be interesting to see if that's changing, but that's the big thing, and people tend to look at 11:11 and how that might be in Isaiah. To me, Isaiah 11:11 is about the branch of Jesse, you know, reaching out, you know, a second time. So it's a whole about the second resurrection, second whole thing. There's a whole, you know, dual messianic theory, and I could go down that whole rabbit hole, and that's a whole other hour of interesting concepts and biblical things. And what I'm doing is I'm just throwing little tidbits out there and trying to stay neutral, you know, scientific and spiritual. So we're kind of doing that narrow route. So there's some other, I probably put this in the headline, some other big Mandela effects I'm going to talk about. Really big. Again, if I was doing a simulation, I would say, oh, let's throw them off. Let's bring some celebrity back to life and then kill them again. So, you know, that's one way to, you know, that's how my mind thinks. I'm like, you know, but this is a big one. Larry King died again, which is pretty amazing because he died like 10 years ago. And as I recall, he died older than he died now. I believe they said he died 87. Very strange, because I remember him being older when he died. And one of the things how I did a lot of my college level classes, when I would want to study certain thing, I would have a commute into the city, and I got bored of listening to Howard Stern. So shout out to Howard. And I got, sorry, but you got boring. So in music, you can only listen to so much music when I had an hour commute. So I started listening to college level classes. So if you think about it, I was doing a semester, gosh, every month and a half, and I listened to college level classes for 10 years. So how many friggin' degrees do I have without having the paper to show it? But there's a lot of things I studied. One of the things was biblical things. One of the things when I was listening to Howard was remembering him talk about Larry King being dead. That was a big thing in the show. And it's just amazing now to see Larry King dying now. So this is, to me, a huge Mandela effect, where now a celebrity's alive and now they're dead again, like Mel Brooks and other, celebrities. So thought I'd mention that. There's another couple other Mandela effects I'm going to talk about real quick. Giant worm. So we have Dune coming out hopefully this year. I'm a big sci-fi fan. Can't wait for that. And love Blade Runner 2024. Now we have a big Dune worm in the history of the Earth. So as per paleontology magazine that just came out, I believe online, there is a giant worm. It was over 2 meters long, and they said 3 centimeters wide. I don't think it's that small. I mean, really? But anyway, and it lived in sand. So it was sand, and they found it just this morning. The article was published about. So there's giant sandworms. Pretty cool, like in Dune, and that's interesting. I talked before about fantasy creatures coming to life, about dire wolves, giant wolves. We had almost like dragons, and phoenix. So this is another one that would be in the mythological animal category of Mandela effects. So I'm dividing up, Mandela effects in different types. There would be one for celebrities coming alive. There's another one for, fantasy animals. So that would be under the fantasy animal. And I'm going to talk about another one right now. And I invite you to do your own research on an interesting article that came out about nuclear weapons being blowing up over in California, 2 of them 60 years ago. What? So now we have 2 nuclear weapons that exploded 60 years ago. Now, as I recall, and I skimmed the article, I'm actually really busy. If you guys want to send me money to Victor Hamsa, HMSA, you could always send me money, and if everybody sent me enough money, I wouldn't have to work, so I could concentrate on what the heck's going on. But I have a regular job. You saw me the other day in a suit. Today's my day off, so I thought I'd do a quick video, but there's a lot going on. Anyway, 2 nuclear weapons exploded. As I recall, it used to be like 100,000 years before that nuclear radiation would dissipate, before it would be habitable for humans to be in the area. But strangely enough, I don't recall any places in California being nuclear damaged enough where people weren't residing, and we had the Fukushima plant that was in Japan, that had all this. You haven't heard about that in a long time, and I bet you $1 that after you watch this video, you're going to see something about the nuclear Fukushima, with that spill with the, I bet you that's going to come up. Why is that? It's like, that's the way reality works, So let me know if you see that. That's interesting. And then we had, just to say, when the Earth kind of morphed, we had that sandbar in Florida, that there's a nuclear facility on a sandbar. So when the Earth, when it shifted, it's like when the map shifted, they forgot to move the nuclear site to be, how could we have a nuclear power plant? Who would build one on a sandbar? Unless that's disappeared now in Florida. So that's another thing, certainly, to, think about. But anyway, so thank you so much for, tuning in. There is a lot of things to unpack when I do these, but again, I'm in a good mood. Be in a good mood. I do. I don't do. I am doing. I got certified as yoga, so I teach yoga, meditation, and all that. And I believe that with higher fifth dimensional consciousness, you're able to perceive these kind of changes where I think lower dimensional thinking you do not. So if you're seeing these like I see them, that just means you have a higher dimensional consciousness where you're able to perceive certain things. And if you're at a lower level of perception, you don't perceive these kind of things. Now, it doesn't mean that anything negative. It's just the way your mind works. I believe through meditation, you could expand your consciousness, and that way you could understand more of what I'm talking about. And that's one of the things why I teach, not why I teach meditation, but I do teach meditation. I actually came up with a course that you could get certified in, and eventually teach people how to meditate. And once you would go through all my courses, then you get to that level where you're teaching other people to meditate. You would have a degree in it, a certification rather, and that certification would be, I talked to Yoga Alliance about it, and that would count towards continuing course credits. So that would count for them under the continuing education curriculum. So you would actually be able to, this would be a real, not one of these fake certifications online. It's a real thing where you could go out and get a job, and if you Google it, you'll see that some meditation teachers can make upwards of $80,000 a year. So do I think it's worth it? Yes, I do. I think it's worth pursuing, if not even a side job or something maybe you just enjoy. So that's something that I've been doing. And I have, you can start studying with me now online, and happy to do that. And a lot of what I do is free, so most of it's free. But anyway, I thought I'd give a plug out to myself, strangely enough. Anyway, what else to talk about that? The Larry King one's crazy. The Lady Gaga, of course, is crazy. And there's something now biblically referenced, Larry King, last name King. Maybe there's something going on biblically referencing there with the olive branch. Could be. That's all, tied together. Just spitballing here. And the nuclear bombs, wow, that's scary. It's as if there was some kind of, alien attack, and somehow they morphed things so we're getting bombed in the past, which is crazy. Let's hope that's not happening. I talked about something like that before. Are there gremlins in the Matrix? Is that what's going on? Because we had the gremlins. Just real quick, gremlins in planes that they said in World War II, and it's worth looking into that, which is really interesting. They saw Foo Fighters, and then there was these invisible entities that they would call them gremlins from folklore, and they said they're on the planes because they'd find cut wires and things like that. Supposedly the Axis and the Allies both had them. Where they were crashing planes all the time. And then, strangely enough, Senior Kennedy from the Kennedy family was, pilot in World War II, and then he, had a lot of problems with his plane. Believe he died in the plane. And a lot of the Kennedys had died in plane crashes where it seems like, I would imagine, invisible gremlins, something to think about, attacked them over time, maybe because they're enemies of America, maybe they're just negative entities, or maybe they don't exist at all. I'm open to all possibilities about it, but it seems like if you look at the history of drug use and the history of plane crashes with the Kennedys, it seems like a lot of this is done, strangely enough. And then there's a Sedgwick family that I haven't really heard of before, but I started looking at the Kennedys and I saw a Sedgwick family, and they had a lot of series of accidents too, political families, you know, sidelining, you know, the killing, you know, it's like they got assassinated. So it's horrible. Not into that. And what else was I going to talk about? There was something else that's a whole other video. Maybe I'll just let it go. I'm sure later on I'll be like, I should have talked about that one too. But this has been 20 minutes of fun. Hopefully you had a good time. Like, subscribe, share. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't let these things worry too much. Don't get too angst. You know what I say with learning meditation, spirituality, if you can control something, don't worry about it because you can control it. If you can't control something, don't worry about it because you can't control it. Okay? So that's the way you should approach this. You know, if you can't control it, don't worry about it because you can't control it anyway. What can you do? You just observe. If you can control it, then you're already controlling it, so there's nothing to worry about, really, in essence. So don't stress, don't worry about things. All right? Like, subscribe, share. Thank you so much for tuning in. Love you guys. Bye-bye.